Hey, it's Josh D'Amigo, and welcome to the Influential You podcast. I'm excited to introduce you to the Inventor Transactional Personality in this episode, the second episode of our 5-part series on transactional personalities. The transactional personality known as the inventor is skilled in vision and inventing big futures. Their superpowers are the ability to be idea-oriented people who are self-reliant and highly subjective in their thinking. Their kryptonite, however, is that they may tend to halt transactions with brand new ideas or a need to control everything, and they may do so to the detriment of their relationships and judgments. We'll have a special guest, Influential You consultant Cesar Idrovo, who will tell you more about his worldview as an inventor and share a deeper understanding of where his transactional personality is an asset and where it may be a liability. Before we begin, we want to remind you that this podcast is made possible by Influential You's self-guided program, Thrive. If you want to be in the Olympics, you need to train in the same environments as other Olympic athletes. The Thrive program by Influential You is the place to train with those other ambitious adults who are working to achieve big aims just like you are. Join the Influential You faculty, alumni, and industry specialists as we study the underlying transactions we need to build a life that is satisfied. We want to give you a free 30-day trial of our Thrive program, and we're going to do that by giving you a code. This code is 30 days, 30DAYS, and you can use it at checkout for your free 30-day trial of Thrive. That's 30DAYS, or you can simply text the word Thrive to 805-262-9008. Once again, text the word Thrive to 805-262-9008, and you can cancel at any time. Now, let's get down to business. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Influential You podcast. I'm your host, Josh D'Amigo, faculty member and advisor here at Influential You. At Influential You, we teach you how to take charge of your career and amplify your professional influence. Since 2009, we've helped thousands of business owners, executives, and entrepreneurs become more influential, more rewarded, and more you. We all know extroverted people. We all know introverted people. We all know creative people, and we all know analytical people. We also all know people who demonstrate highly varied behavioral characteristics depending on their social environments. So, how does personality apply to a transactional framework? Personality in transaction offers a different approach by focusing on how we behave in transactions rather than merely labeling us as a certain personality type. This framework acknowledges that we all bring value to our exchanges, and it helps us recognize patterns in our behavior rather than defining ourselves by those patterns. Personality and behaving transactionally begins with the focus on how we behave in our transactions. It acknowledges the importance and the potential drawbacks of our contributions to human exchanges and enables us to identify patterns in our own behavior. Since each personality tends to have a unique role to play, each individual's contribution is vital to the group's overall success. By recognizing and appreciating these differences, we can ensure that the collective team thrives. Today, we'll discuss the Inventor Transactional Personality. To tell us more about inventors, here's Cesar Idrovo, an Influential You consultant and the founder of MBA 3.0. And he has worked and consulted with many of the world's leading organizations, such as JP Morgan Chase, Barclays, Apple, Visa, General Electric, Western Digital, and many more. You can find out more about Cesar and his company 3.0, MBA 3.0, by heading over to go.mba30.com/Cesar, or goes to the show notes to find out more about his contact information. Here's Cesar.
Thank you, Josh. Hello, my name is Cesar Idrovo, and I'm the founder of MBA 3.0. I am an influential you consultant and an inventor. Today, we'll talk in depth about the inventor worldview, our assets, our liabilities, and some strategies you may employ when you find yourself working with an inventor. The inventor personality tends to be more future-based. They are idea-oriented people who are self-reliant and highly subjective in their thinking. Many people with this transactional worldview take on roles of CEO, or they work in executive management, sometimes in executive consulting. Many are entrepreneurs, or they have key roles in startups. The best idea always wins with this group, and if they're not careful, their ego can ruin everything they're working on. Inventor's worldview is one of subjectivism, or the view that there is no external or objective truth, and reality is just what is imagined or off the mind. They can be very skilled in honing in on an idea of how the world ought to be, and then get to work to make it so. As I mentioned before, inventors tend to be future-based, idea-oriented people who are self-reliant and highly subjective in their thinking. There is a superpower associated with that way of being, particularly when it comes to constructing the future, as many inventors have an enthusiasm to explore uncharted territory and to lead people towards bold futures. They are skilled in vision and control, often working on a 5 to 10 year plan because of how they view time through a future-based lens. Skilled inventors can craft visions that are worth getting behind. Inventors are often seen as imaginative, strategic, or optimistic. They tend to see the glass almost always half full with their own new possibilities, of course. Inventors do have some liabilities, though. Those big ideas also come with big egos. Many times, this type of ego is required for navigating that uncharted territory. Inventors have to be careful, however, not to bully others into submission, and they often have a difficult time admitting that they don't know everything or they have all the answers. Their independence can work against them, as they can tend to do it all themselves, or at least try to, rather than allowing teammates to execute on their ideas. This independence is a form of poverty, and why many great ideas never actually take off. When inventors are uncertain or just noodling on a problem, they tend to come across as broody or arrogant. This is contagious and can easily get on other people, which can lead to poor company culture. Finally, inventors tend to see others as either their equals or idiots, and if we're honest, there are very few equals. I also want to share with you a few strategies for working with inventors. First of all, you've got to spot them from a group. So to identify the inventor personality, listen for their way of speaking. They use phrases such as "you should" and "I will." They tend to get rather bossy and come up with idea after idea after idea. So you might first recognize the ego in their exchange, and they may move with an air of arrogance because they know it all and because they're sharing all of the ideas that they can come up with. When working with inventors, one of the best things you can add to your vocabulary is this phrase. I know you already know this, and it totally works, even when the inventor knows that what you're doing. By acknowledging the ideas of an inventor, you're disarming them, at least a little bit, allowing for their ego to stay intact while inviting them to consider a different or a new idea. That's the inventor personality. My name is Cesar Idrovo, and I am an inventor. Now, back to Josh D'Amigo for one final word.
Thank you, Cesar. That's all for our podcast today on the Inventor Personality. See the show notes to connect with Cesar Idrovo and find out more about the work he's doing with MBA 3.0. My name is Josh D'Amigo, and I'll see you next time on the Influential You podcast.